One question we got from several folks was, what are your recommendations around this work in rural communities? Any unique strengths or challenges that you've encountered as you're working with rural communities and applying some of the work you've described?
One of the huge challenges in rural communities is just the lack of access to social services that folks in urban communities often don't have. You know, the concentration of nonprofits in a space seems to really matter beyond service provision. You know, it is like the main driver, for example, it explains why cities have gotten a lot safer over the last several decades. And so I think that trying to think of new ways to bring services into communities to fight for when services are closed, like rural hospitals, and to make sure things like that stay open. I think transportation and loneliness are things that we need to talk about more in rural communities than often we do when it comes to confronting poverty. And oftentimes rural folks also think that they're getting the short end of the stick, you know. So if you go to Wisconsin, for example, there's a book by Kathy Kramer that shows that folks in rural Wisconsin are saying, I'm paying these taxes, and they're just going to Milwaukee. And it's actually not true. You know, folks in rural communities actually get a higher return on their taxes than folks in urban communities, but it's kind of hard to see. And so thinking about ways to bring those into light and to create this more civic virtue in rural communities, I think is really important too.